Welcome to the DevReady Podcast, where we're helping non-techs build better tech. Today we're joined by Graham Robertson. He is the principal at DCE Sales Management Consulting. Now, we all know that we can build great tech and great products and put them out to market and nothing really happens. People don't come, they don't get excited. We don't attract to that crowd that we're expecting. Sales and marketing are a massive piece of that puzzle that we need to unpack, understand, and really get better at if we're going to drive our technology out to market and help more people. We've got Graham on today just to talk a bit more about sales principles and how we might drive product. And his background is since 1983, 84, you've been into the sales game, so quite a lot of experience in this space, and love to learn from him today. But Graham, thank you for joining us, taking the time out of your morning today, and appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much. Lovely to meet you, Andrew, and hello, everybody.
So, Graham, just for everyone that's listening out there, tell us a little bit about you, your background, your experience, and then we'll lead into some direction around sales. It's always good to get people a bit of an understanding of who you are.
It's an interesting start on the sun, though, of Irish immigrants arriving in 1968 as an 8-year-old, and I've spent an entire life meeting people that I didn't know before the very moment that I put my hand out to say, hello, my name's Graham. After joining the Royal Australian Navy, working in the Fleet Air Arm, I left in 1983 because we decided we didn't need an aircraft carrier any longer, so therefore we didn't need planes, and therefore we didn't need people like me. And I started selling. Consumables for cash registers and photocopiers. That's cash register rolls and photocopy paper. Sold my first calculator in 1983 or early 1984, and bought myself a MIDI for lunch with the commission. Went on to sell a lot of Apple equipment. So one of the first 128K Macintoshes in the country in about March, April 1984.
Good history in those products.
Oh, beautiful. And I see them today, and I wish I had kept mine. I've sold a lot of Apple stuff, but a lot of Apple. I'm an Apple person by philosophical birth, still use the whole kit today. Sold hardware, software to government, and had a really good and interesting career.
So, Navy, that was interesting. So what did that teach you about life and experiences? Because that's always a fascinating one.
You'll hear a lot about salespeople being told that get used to rejection because you're going to get a lot of it. Early on, and again, one quick story, I walked in one morning after I'd sold a cash register for the first time, and I was handed a cash register before the morning coffee, and I'd only been selling for nigh on a couple of months, and it was here, don't come back until you sell it or you won't be paid. And it's like, wow, this is selling. This is selling. On my very first day, the owner of the business took me into the back room and put on the board POPO, and he said, do you know what that means? I said, no. He said, perform or piss off. So that really taught me, be ready for anything, have a thick skin, and the rejection angle, walking into businesses, small businesses, people that are busy serving customers, trying to get to see the chemist or the boss or the fellow that owns the news agency, giving them a business card saying, I have some of what you sell. Of course, then it was a necessity sale. You use consumable products, I have them. You move on to feature benefit selling. You have to be adaptable. You have to be... people buy from people they like and trust, right? People buy from people they know, like, and trust. And really, that's the first place. Although that didn't get codified till much later, that was the first time I guess that lesson started to be taught me. So I've learned that you've just got to kiss a lot of frogs.
You mentioned something about feature benefit selling. Can you unpack that a little bit? Because, what does that mean to you? Because it means a lot to a number of people, but what does that mean to you?
It means it's like the dinosaurs. It's dead, or at least should be. We feature benefit selling. It really is about suction. If you think of the ubiquitous vacuum cleaner salesman, the suction is great. The feature is the suction. Let me pour some black ash onto your carpet out of this jar here, and I will show you the suction. I will show you the feature of this vacuum cleaner. And of course, most of the time, I guess, although I've never done it, the benefit of that is that I get all of the mess that I made back off your floor. That really pervaded through until early 2000, I guess, in the noughties, where we realised that we moved to the model, really had already done that, I guess, to relationship selling. And we've moved now really past that to what I call, or what I like to term, empowerment, selling through empowerment. So really leading people to build a business case for change, and having them understand that, because people don't buy because they want something. Companies pay companies after people buy from people, and they buy to solve problems. The transaction is about, help me with a business problem I have. So we've left feature benefit selling behind, and if you haven't, it's time to do so.
Time to move on. Relationships. It's all about people, right? We're people selling to people, like you said. Building relationships doesn't come easy to everyone. What are some of the things, and how do we build relationships with people and stay in contact with business people without looking like we're just trying to sell them something all the time? That's always a question that gets asked.
Yeah, it is tough, because, as I said, I've spent a lifetime shaking hands with people that I didn't know before I put my hand out. We could go to body language and being open and honest. Integrity and honesty is obviously part of having people want to shake your hand and tell you something that answer a question that you've asked. Eye contact is obviously very important, but I think integrity shines through being genuinely open and being an active listener. There was for years in selling, it's the KISS, keep it simple salesman. But at the same time, as once you ask a question, shut up and wait for the answer, right? Because if I ask you a question,
right?
and I start talking over the top of you, you feel like you're not listening to me. You don't care. This is all about you. You've got your eyes on the check, and it's really called a bit of commission breath. So what they smell from you is, you're just doing this to get a commission, you're not interested in me. So genuine interest, understanding really what it is that you're helping, because that's what we're doing. We're helping people solve business problems in their role, so that they get a reward for that. And the reward for you is that you've helped them help their company, and you gain, done properly, you gain a customer for life, really.
Yeah, that's a pivotal piece, gaining a customer for life. That's all about the relationship and how you keep it up as well. And then there's the support beyond it. Selling something is one thing, but then there's the after support. How is that managed within an organisation, from the sales context, from the operational context? There's a bit in that.
There is, and just one for you. I in selling to government, 2003 to 2010, I did a lot of government, software, helping the government with information management issues. And the words tumbled out of my mouth one day at a big presentation for a multi-million-dollar deal, that I am responsible. I am responsible for ensuring that initially that the bid that we answered, that we put into you, hit the mark. If it didn't, it's my responsibility. I'm responsible for ensuring that today that we deliver on the promise, that we show you what it is that we've promised we can do. And I'm responsible to ensure that the people that pay me are able to solve the business problem that you have. So I work for you, I'm paid by them. And you could see the people in the room go, "Wow, this is interesting. Somebody's responsible." Because really, in government, the abrogation of responsibility is a skill set, right, or a necessity. And so, and that's and again from that, I now have people I can call in New Zealand, around Australia, and they'll say, "G'day, Graham, what's going on?" How are you?
Yeah, they're clearly hit a mark in terms of that relationship side.
Yeah.
You mentioned something about empowerment selling. Now, let's unpack that a little bit because you said you've moved to empowerment selling. What does that mean? How does that position? What does that mean for an organisation in terms of how you empowering something at the other end of the conversation?
Well, first off, before we reach out to any organisation, we have to know who we're selling to. So we have to
that will
know.
help. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you'd be surprised of, as I said, you have to kiss a lot of frogs, and it's like whack-a-mole in a way, but you don't whack every mole, you only whack the ones that are relevant to you. And I like to at least start with, what problem do you solve? Who has the problem that you solve? Is it important that it be solved? Why haven't they already solved it? And what happens if they do or don't solve it? Right, so we create an ideal customer profile. We understand our total and target addressable market through the firmographics. How big are the organisation? Where are they? What do they look like? The psychographics. What mode are they in? Typically companies in growth mode will spend money. Right, they have money to invest in the business. Companies that are stable, run away. And companies in threat may or may not. They may be pulling back. I would always say, in times of trouble, invest. And finally, the psychographics. And when it comes to technology, what technology do they have? What do you complement? What do you replace? So what do they look like technically, and how do you fit in? From there, we move to the buyer persona. Who is the person, the CEO of the problem that you solve? What we know is that organisations operate to deliver on a minimum of 4, but the 4 main factors are increasing revenue, maximising profit, ensuring compliance with government regulation, and minimising business risk. Right? So they are the problems that you're solving, and you're talking to people who have, if you're talking at the C level and the right level, the organisation, you're talking to the people that have responsibility for those areas and ultimately to solve those problems. So empowering them through being the helpful person that I am. I know you in your role, in your company, in your market, in your geography. And remembering, we were talking about this just before we started, Andrew, what happens in the world, whether it's Ukraine or the rioting again in the UK or what's happening in...
There's always some noise out there,
Middle East.
It never ends.
That flows downhill, right? So that has world events have a effect on, what effect do world events and conditions have on your region? What effects do they have on your market? That therefore has an effect on your company in that market, and therefore it has an effect on you. So I have to be able to help you. Companies pay companies after people buy from people. I say it again and again and again. Right? So that's really what I'm doing now, is empowering the person, and building a business case for and with them, so that when they get higher up and they say, look, we really need this, and the CEO says, well, we've already got a number of proposals, I'm not sure I can do that, that person is able to answer the 2 questions, which it's essential that we do this because, and it pays for itself by. All right, so, and that link goes back to...
They're important questions for any business owner.
As much as we also have, improving efficiency and improving margins, staff retention, customer satisfaction, improved brand, investor relations, community engagement and the like. It really is the first level drivers are the golden eggs. They will spend money to ensure the first level drivers are achieved, and they may also buy to seek assistance with the second level drivers. The second level drivers can sometimes be achieved as a consequence of attending to the first. So all roads lead to Rome, right? Increase revenue, maximise profit, decrease risk, ensure compliance with government regulation. So really you're empowering the person to...
Make it sound very simple, don't you? You're right. Very simple. 4 categories. Yeah.
That's, it is. That's why you think about your business. They are the 4 key metrics.
Yeah, you're always looking at this in the context of our business. It's increase revenue, reduce cost, build efficiency. They're the 2 areas, and then they buy if they can see that you can bring the risk down too. So that's a buying signal. If you can de-risk something, it helps.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And too many salespeople, and I've done it, we've all been guilty of this. It's, turn up and throw up. Hello, this is all about me. You get on the phone. The reality is today we have a maximum of 7 seconds in a cold phone call, 18 words in an email. So if we spend the first, 7 seconds of saying, hi, Andrew, my name's Graham from DCE Sales Management. Have you ever heard of us? No.
Lost you completely, yeah.
You're gone.
Yeah, correct.
You're already gone. They're already thinking. The minute you start, they're thinking, how do I get off this call? And you have to be able to answer very quickly. You have to have a trigger event or an opening, a point of view that hooks, that is the hook, that is so that you are the signal amongst the noise. That answers the questions, why have you called me, why now, and what's in it for me if I give you my time? So
you're selling the conversation, right? So it's just what's the value you're bringing to me?
Business case for change and the benefit of a relationship with you, not, let's do a demo. Hi, would you like a demo? Don't do demos. Anyway, don't get me started. Demos are my pet.
No, we'll get you started because a lot of people in tech go straight to demo. So explain that. Why wouldn't I do a demo?
Why would you do a demo to somebody that's not in buying mode? Why would you do a demo if you don't have the ear and the attention and the trust and the cooperation of the people that make the decisions, the C-suite? If you're asking somebody for $250,000 a year in software revenue on a recurring basis, and you haven't met the chief financial officer, why? Well, you're not going anywhere, I can assure you. But why do a demo to people that aren't, they're tire kickers, right? If you look at the Miller-Hyman buyer types of economic buyer, technical buyer, coach, or user buyer, if you're demoing, if they're easy to there's an old saying again, if they're easy for you to meet, everybody's meeting them. They're not doing anything. They become Seymours. Show me a little bit more. I'd like to see more. So you're wasting your time. I heard a story by one of my peers a little while back about the founder that did 83 demos without making a sale. So that's 83 by an hour, plus his technical sidekick, which is more than likely the CTO. Never mind the preparation time, so that's 166 hours straight away. Never mind the building of the demo and the time of the persons they were demoing to. So doing a demo to people that are in buying mode is like, tilting at windmills, really.
Fascinating, yeah. It's a good feedback in terms of people, how they might consider and think about things. You mentioned a little bit about...
Just to finish that point, Andrew, a demo really is a proof point, not a reason. So we've agreed that we can deliver this outcome for you, that you have the problem, that I solve the problem, it's important it be solved. Ultimately, it becomes, and this is how we do it, it looks kind of like this. Not have a look at this, it will solve all of your problems, it will do the dishes, and it will change your life. Right?
That's an interesting one. In the world of tech, a lot of people spend time getting feedback from people and demoing. Maybe not for the purpose of selling, but how do you massage and manage that? Because the end goal is to convert them into a customer. But if you're in that space of product feedback and understanding market needs and product market fit, how does one manage that relationship compared to what a selling demo could look like? Because it can get a little bit convoluted in there.
Look, it can, and it's an interesting question and take. You really are building a business case for change. So as much as your product may have, and your product or solution may have a number of different features and ways of solving, probably multiple ways of solving most of the problems, It's not about that. It's not about you. I, again, consistently say it's not about you. What is it that you need to achieve? What is it that we need to do to show, to help you achieve your outcome, right? So in other words, instead of saying there's 3 ways to do this, just agree beforehand with your coach, with your sponsor, because before you do a demo, before you really commit any resource to an organisation, to the sales cycle or to the sales exercise, you want to have the backing of and really the imprimatur of the senior management in the organisation. You need to already be on the road. So to come in and say, right, well, we didn't know what to show you today, so we thought we'd show you the kitchen sink. It's really about how do we help you, and what does this look like afterwards? And I often ask the question, what does it look like in a year? How do you feel in 12 months' time? What's happened? What's changed? Have you achieved your outcomes, and how did you do that? Oh, I really like this, bit and this widget, and it, the light blinks and the camera's on. Let's give you one of those then. And then the relationship moving forward.
Put him in the future state, yeah.
Future state. And then the relationship moving forward really is a feedback loop which assure, and this has been part of some organisations I've worked for where they've actively sought the feedback of the organisation, of the customer, and said, look, that's a great idea. We're going to make that. We're going to build that in. I can't promise that it's going to be done immediately, but we will build that feature or that capability into the product because you're right. It should do that. So thank you very much. And then they feel part of it, and then there's that moving forward together angle, and being part of each other's success. Yeah,
that joining and moving forward together is an advantage that technology companies can have because the products are iterative. It's not just buy this cup. This will give you a nice, will keep your coffee nice and warm, and move on. There's you can't really do much with that, but you can collaborate. That's one of the major advantages that people don't understand in tech. If you collaborate,
people don't buy a cup because they want a cup. People buy a cup because they want to drink. It's a vessel to drink. You don't buy a picture hook to have a hole in your wall. You buy a picture hook to hang a picture. So what they're after, and I'm looking at a picture on my wall, I'm after the picture on the wall. The simple fact that I have to buy something to hang it on.
The tools to get it there, yes. It's the outcome we're after. Correct.
Absolutely.
The hammer's not. I don't want a hammer. No.
Absolutely. But, you still have to start the relationship. The paradox of selling is that you sell when you have trusting and understanding and relationships with people. The paradox is that people don't want to get to know you. They're not sitting there hoping you're going to ring and offer to be their friend. So, you've got to get past that paradox, and that is being relevant to again, having your ideal customer, your buyer persona mapped out, having a value narrative, understanding real benefit for the business and the person, and being able to break through, be the signal amongst the noise. I'll give you a quick stat. The 3%, roughly 3% of people, if you ring up, if you're that person that rings up and says, hey, my name's Graham and I sell widgets, there's 3% of the people that you're going to ring, 3% of the market are looking for that widget. So good luck.
Which is a small number. it's 100 calls.
Now, 40% of people you contact, if you lead with insight and business value and understanding, if you lead with, knowledge about what they do, over 40% will engage with you. So therefore, you're either swimming in the red ocean of 3%, or you're swimming in the blue ocean of 43%. It's up to you, really. So starting off in the right way, opening, Tony Hughes says opening is the new closing. Opening is far more important than closing, and the way you open has a direct relationship to the possibility of you closing a deal. It's not about closing. We don't close deals anymore.
Well, on that piece there, that 40%, there's a lot of talk about how do we add value to our market. Content, information, sharing, etc. What's your take on that world? Because a lot of people talk about the the key person of influence in the space. And how do you feel about that space, and what's your take on that?
If you're looking after your customer, if you're in contact, and I mean, again, the world changes so quickly. So we don't know if we're talking to a human or not. By the way, if you're not sure if the person talking to you is a person or not, ask them what happens to your lap when you stand up. You'll find out, because they won't know the answer. I'll ask it its surname. It doesn't have one. Michael. So we don't know that. So the reality is, I have to be me. I have to be genuinely me, and I have to be genuinely helpful, and I have to be able to get on the phone and say, "G'day, Andrew, did that thing get fixed, the issue? G'day, Andrew, did you see our new piece on? All right, this is some of the upcoming changes that we're making. We heard you." And continually, but the noise is so great at the moment, and everybody's a LinkedIn. Everybody on LinkedIn now is a guru of some description, right? So there's so much noise. Yeah. And look, being genuine and integrity will always be the brightest light, in my view, right? And paying it forward and being that genuinely, people will say to me years after, "I really love dealing with you because it was not about you. It was about you helped us." Yes, I did, and I was still ring up today, so I'm saying, "Hey, you still got that? Wow, I can't believe it. Good on you." And they spent millions of dollars on it to change the business, and it did. Right? Solved real problems. I have many anecdotes about real problems, that their technology solved. That wasn't what the customer went to market for. So that's how really, and I know it's an obtuse answer to your question, but it's just about the relationship with human beings, and I think it's more important now than ever.
Oh, in the world we live in, it's all digital, right? So there's emails that pop in, there's LinkedIn conversations that are everywhere. And like you said, half of them are probably not from a human. So we don't know who we're doing with at the end result. So if you can, great. But you can build really good relationships with 10, 12, 15 people. That can be a setting up of a business and a structure to help a global market. It just, that takes time and effort and energy, but it also is... The value of that is you actually understand what your end users need, what your end customers need, what their problems are, like you said, and you can really dig in, because once you can dig in and get down to bare bones, all right, you're experiencing X, Y, Z, and we understand that, and this is how we can solve for that, then you're on the same page. It's not, we have this thing and it does this, and then, okay, how's it? The hard part for customers, I find, is connecting the dots. So, yes, you've got this, but how does that help me? That's the part where you're responsible for.
Yeah, and when you can relate it back to a testimonial or a customer where you've solved a similar problem or they had a similar situation, I mean, and I'll share a quick one with you now. It was, I guess I could say this, it was Western Australian Police, and we helped them, update their information management systems with document record management. Now, not long after they'd gone live, we got a phone call from the project manager. His name was Mick, and I don't remember his surname, but I can still see him. Lovely man, lovely. That's a great relationship we had with them, and we did a lot of work with Western Australian Police. But he rang up and said, "You won't believe it, that this bloody thing has helped us catch a criminal." Really? Tells me.
Really?
They had someone in Tasmania. There was an alert went up in Tasmania. This person in Tasmania had done something wrong. The name came through in a general bulletin around the country. They were able to type in the name into their newly taxonomised, and newly built information management system, and up he popped. And he was wanted on warrants in WA.
Easy to get access to information.
30 minutes. 30 minutes. So we solved a real problem in that instance. I mean, we created one for somebody, I guess, but we solved a problem for society and maybe put somebody away. But that's real stuff, right? That's not the promise of an 18% increase in profit and a 33% decrease in risk. And that's a problem solved.
Yeah, it's a real outcome delivered at the end result, right? That's
It
brilliant.
is.
That's what you want to see when you deliver. And what do you get from this? Because the reality is, if we're delivering and solving real problems, there's a bit of a selfish part to this as well. You feel good about it too, right? So how does that make you feel solving real problems in real world, especially at scale?
Absolutely, and I'll give you another Western Australian example that sometimes gets me quite emotional. So we had we were included in a bid by a larger technology company to solve a information management problem for the Department of Child Protection in WA. And when we went through the tender, it read very government tender. Must be able to do this, have this many, widgets and wadgets and whatever. About a week before, so we got accepted and we got shortlisted and we had to go and do the presentation. About a week before the presentation, there was a headline on what you don't want to be when you're the Director General or a C-level executive in a government department anywhere is to be on the front page of the paper.
No, correct.
And on the front page of the paper, and on the front page of the Western Australian was the fact that a ward of the state had been the victim of sexual abuse by a music teacher. I think it was a music teacher that was contracted by the department. So in the tender presentation, no, right? So what was happening? There was happening mistakes being made. That this position, the Director General, the CEO, the C-level were turning over at a great rate because there was a myriad of issues within the department. Not that we fixed them, but they were continually being
It's a tough space. Really, it's a difficult space. Yeah.
What was the problem? The problem for the DG, for the CEO, was that there wasn't, enough trust in the system.
Yes.
So that had to be fixed. And that was the problem that I went after instead of doing the, click and show and highlight demo. It was, this can help you do that. This can help this never happen again. I got bumped into in the hallway and said, wow, that was... I'm not allowed to tell you this, but I think you're going to win the business. Thank you very much. So that problem went away. How does that feel?
Yeah.
I mean, I need ...
Awesome, right? Yeah.
We solve a real problem.
Yeah. Yeah. And helping innocent little children at the end is, it's something you can take home and just to wear that forever, because that's what they are, the innocent people in our world, and if we can add value in that world, that's a big thing.
That was in 2005, and I still get teary about it.
You would get emotional about it, impacting such a big problem in society.
So there, sorry about that.
No, don't apologise, because that's the point of why we're out there. We're trying to help people, right? And you can help at most, and you're helping innocent little children in the end of it, and that we feel good about that. And then that's like, geez, we've made an impact. It's not just about we're selling something. Can we make an impact? Can we add value at significant levels? That's when we can actually generate more value for our organisations, for our business itself, and then for the community at large, because in the end, you're selling because you're trying to help someone at the other end. And that's the impact we're trying to make in society. We should be creating value.
Yeah, and that's exactly. And you sell, as I've said, you sell the most when you sell least, right? And so there's no selling in that. It was
there isn't. No.
Solving a problem and being asked to help. Yes, we'd love you to help us, and of course, therefore, a number goes on to a spreadsheet somewhere, and somebody gets a tick, and somebody gets a well done, and on you move. Go to the next one.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks for sharing that, because it gives people a bit of an understanding of what impact we can make with a piece of technology and what that can actually mean at the other end in terms of the impact it can make it to someone, an individual out there or a community out there. So if someone's starting out, I'll go into this. This will be my last question. Someone's starting out on this journey. You mentioned it, that founder that has had 83 conversations or demos, and they're struggling on the cycle of selling. Where do they begin? Maybe they're technical. Maybe they're just not sure in this world. Maybe they're a domain expert and don't know how to communicate their product or their benefits better, or empower someone at the other end to actually make a decision, or solve them, or build a real business case. Where do you start? What's the starting point on the journey of actually understanding your market and who you're going to help?
So a great question, Andrew. Once you've, again, go back to your total and target addressable market and identified your ideal customer profile and your buyer persona and started to build your value narrative, and understand, as part of that, you've got to understand business value, right? Business value is benefit less cost. Right, so what's the real value of this? But that's where people like me, fractional sales leadership, and comes in. That we can work with you in a fractional basis to map out and scope what it is that you're trying to achieve, help you clarify your market, clarify your customer, clarify all of your metrics. And one thing that's I think lost on a lot of people, and I see this happen a lot. We're nearly there. We've got a full pipeline. Well, probably don't, but you think you do. And most pipelines aren't as full as you think. Let's go and get a salesman. I was talking to a peer in the recruiting industry, James Michael, yesterday. He will tell you that the majority of first sales hires fail. Right, they fail because
I've experienced that in our business. Not even the first, the second. Yes.
Right, so do you know what you're trying to achieve? And it's happened to me. It's happened to us all. Okay, welcome, Graham. So fix it. Here's a list. Call it. Okay, this is going to take me 6 to 8 months, because in reality, let me give you a real reality. A new salesperson starting. Their ramp-up period really is a quarter-plus sales cycle. 3 months.
So sales cycle 6 months, for example, in bigger high-ticket things, that's 9 months.
The reality is, in the first year, they're going to cost you money. And the second year, they're going to cost you a little bit less. And if they're still there in the third year, that's when you start to make your money. So thinking that just because we've bought a salesperson, we've got this guy in, if we don't tell him, if we're not working together with an open mind and saying, okay, we understand this is going to take a long time, let's do what we need to do to build a foundation upon which we can grow the organisation from a sales-led point of view, then you're doomed to failure. So if you don't understand what it is, again, I say, people, founders, love them to bits. They're inventors, right? I've built a widget. I've built a mousetrap, and I've called a few people, and they tell me they've got a couple of mice. And after that, the mice will start, beating a path to our door. Well, probably not, right? And when I talk with founders, I say, so what's one of the benefits of your solution? And they instantly go to tell me what the features of it are. So you don't know the benefit, right? A benefit's not a benefit.
Business benefit, yeah.
Unless it can be expressed in terms of dollars, percentages, or moving the needle in some form of KRA for the business. So they're coming at it from that point of view. So what do people like me do? They say, let's just stop and have you remap this now. Well done, you've built it. That's the first stage. And please don't tell me it's your baby, because your baby might be ugly and you may have to deal with that. But, not every baby's beautiful, right? So let's understand, build a foundation to move forward on a sales-led growth path that has you knowing your market, knowing the problem that you solve, knowing who has the problem that you solve, building a narrative that enables you not only to get on the phone and get appointments, but build a business relationship, build a business case for change with the people that you're dealing with, and then help them solve their problem and grow your business and be able to have them as a testimonial, as a reference for the next guy. And we will continue to pay it forward by building the product for you. So really that's I guess... It's
a good summary for people to think about, because if they're just pushing out demos, that's likely not going to get them. It's all talking about features, right? So it's a demo.
I've got a great mate of mine, Paul, and he will tell you, and he agrees with me vehemently that a demo is one of the worst things you can do. It is the biggest risk in any sales process. If the tech doesn't work, if it doesn't work, if somebody doesn't like the colour, or I've got I think I give some customers 15 things you shouldn't do in software demonstrations, right? And you'll find a lot of people move the mouse around a lot. And guess what? We just can't help it. So we're watching the mouse.
Yeah, it's true.
Stop.
Yeah, it's fair
Don't point at what you're talking about. Click the button, take your hand off the mouse. Show one way of doing everything. Don't show three ways, show one way. Yes, answer yes. Let me show you. Right? So yes, it's fraught with danger, the old demo.
Well, the amount of experience that you have is quite fascinating. I think this conversation could go for hours, but we will cut it there. If anyone wants to learn a bit more from Graham, his website is dcesalesmanagement.com. Check him out. You find him on LinkedIn as well. But Graham, thank you for joining us on DevReady Podcast. It's been a pleasure. A lot of information, a bit of a fire hose going on, but a lot of good takeaways there for people just to consider and reflect on how they're doing things. Yep. So I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time.
Thank you very much, and good luck, everybody. Graham at dcesalesmanagement.com. I look forward to hearing from you, and have a lovely day, Andrew. Thank you.
Thank you, Graham.